Um, you know, there's many people that are still on this creation versus evolution thing, which I was arguing about, you know, back in high school, and I would have thought that the whole thing would have been over by now, and it's not. So I think we really need to get into, you know, a separation of church and science. I mean, I think religion is so important, and it has such an important function in our society, you know, social and spiritual, and functions that science cannot provide us with, that I think religion really needs to stay focused on what its most important role is, and stay out of these areas that it's not as good in. I mean, it can't provide us answers with the things that science does, and so it ought to stay out of that area. It's really just as simple as that. I think most reasonable people understand that. Okay, one of the things I wanted to get to in this video is the idea of finding meaning and purpose in your life, and I think it's relevant to Agape because it's how we arrive at a meaning and purpose in our life. And I'll just say a few words about that now. Is that I think you know, every thought and feeling and emotion and wish, hope, dream that you've ever had, every thing you know about yourself, every talent, every ability, these are all clues, and each clue is like a piece of the puzzle, and you start putting these pieces together. Slowly an image, patterns emerge, and it's just like working on a puzzle. You put these pieces together, and you know, a lot of times you will you'll think you'll be seeing something, and you put a few more pieces in, and the image will change. I think that's exactly what happens when you are discovering your purpose in life. You need to study. It's a process that lasts your whole life. This study of your own mind, your emotions, your feelings, you know, your wishes, hopes, dreams, and it has a lot to do with your ideas about God. I wanted to mention about how do you get to understanding of yourself. The only way I've ever been able to do it is through meditation. I've been meditating since I was 16. I'm 56 now, so that's like 40 years, right? That time in my life, I had a real bad temper when I was a kid, and you know, and Dad always said I was flying off the handle, the term he used to use, and I'd always fly off the handle about something. And when I got my first car, and you know, I got my car from working as a paper boy, and I took my money and I went down to this, when I lived in Phoenix, went downtown Phoenix. I had seen this ad in the paper, and it was talking about, you know, getting in touch with this higher level of consciousness, and it just sounded interesting, so I went to it, and it was like $35 then, and I was horrified recently to discover it's like $2,500 to learn this. This is Transcendental Meditation by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and I have a bunch of videos favorited that you can look at by David Lynch. He's a lot more eloquent and articulate, and describes meditation a lot better than I ever could. But I think you know, over the years, there's been times when I stop meditating, but then I always go back, because within 2 or 3 days after I stop, I generally start feeling very irritable, out of sorts. I start making bad decisions and judgments, and life just isn't quite as good. That's it for me. I mean, all this stuff about bliss and you know, higher consciousness and all that. Well, maybe I don't know. To me, it's just something I do every day now, because if I don't, I'll regret it. You know, there's been many studies done, clinical studies, that like 50 some up to this point, where these studies have shown that there's a definite chemical, hormonal difference between people who meditate and those who don't, and this is very important in maintaining your balance and just being able to think clearly and rationally and see the big picture, sort of. You know, David Lynch talks about expanding your consciousness. By the way, David Lynch, if some of you don't know who he is, he's the producer, director of movies like Twin Peaks and Mulholland Drive and Eraserhead and others. Very good movies, and movies that I've enjoyed a lot. There's one video in there that's over an hour. That's, you know, if you can spare the time, I'd recommend that one. But there's other ones that are shorter, you know, 5-6 minutes, that you can also get a good idea of what he's talking about. If you can spare $2,500, you know, I would say that it's definitely something I would recommend, because it just can make a big difference in your life. Okay, just to wrap up these Agape Consciousness videos, I'll leave you some links over here to David Lynch's videos, if you'd like to check those out. And I'd also just like to encourage you to keep up your finding your purpose, because it's the most important thing you'll ever do, and the most interesting, exciting, and the more you learn about yourself, the more you'll want to know about yourself and others and the world at large. So take care, everybody.